What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Big Tuddies Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your boy, Sammer, hanging out with Poppy Latte and my guy, Tony. It is week 5, boys. We've gone through week 4. We talked about Thursday Night Football rolling up here, and now it's officially post-waiver time. And I don't know about you guys, but I got the guys I needed, and I ended up getting a cool stack. I didn't go the Zach Wilson route, for those of you who watched last episode.
Oh, come on.
I wanted to, but that Sam Howell and Scary Terry stack option was just too good to pass up.
Yeah.
But I do have some other nonsense that I'm probably going to end up doing. We'll talk about that later on in the show. So let's pop in.
Hold on. I did go with the nonsense in one of my leagues.
What?
I picked up Zach Wilson and I stacked him with Garrett Wilson against Denver's offense.
You're making fun of me.
I don't care. I'm going with it, bro.
Oh, man.
It's either going to go really great or it's going to blow.
It's going to
Man. It's
go
that
great.
flaming stagecoach. Just grab on and hang on.
Basically.
Hey, it's like in the NBA. Like, if you end up playing for a team and they end up winning the championship, you technically still get a ring, even if they trade you away. So when you win the league and it's because of this Zach Wilson move, Latte, don't forget me, all right? Because that's basically because of me. Now, speaking of waivers, I'm sure you guys have attempted to get the players you want out there, but sometimes you don't get the guys you want. Sometimes you end up kind of stuck, without a paddle, as they say. So, Tony, Latte, curious what you guys have tip-wise for people who may have struggled after that waiver wire time period, especially this week when it's starting to get a lot thinner as guys are getting more injured throughout the NFL.
Yep.
Injuries and bye weeks.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Like, I hope everybody got who they wanted. It was kind of a rough week for waivers, so I hope we were able to help you guys out. But, keep in mind, I don't know. It's the same time every year. At week 5, bye week start, and it seems to catch people off guard all the time. So I will say, make sure you're going in the morning and checking to see who people drop, because especially right now, somebody gets caught off guard. They might have had to make a little bit of a questionable move, drop somebody to free agency just because they have to. They've got to start somebody this week. So take a peek, see who ended up there. Maybe you can scoop them up and just upgrade your team off of somebody else's bad luck.
Yeah, no. Listen, Sammer's in that position, Tony. We were texting about it this morning. He's got to drop to pick up a defense or a kicker, because both are on bye, Justin Herbert, Ramondre Stevenson, Mike Evans, Javonte Williams, Zay Flowers, and Gabriel Davis. I mean, who are you? I don't even want to answer that question. It makes my head hurt.
My suggestion would be, unfortunately, just let that defense go.
Got to let him go.
See if you can get them back next week, or just plan ahead. It's so much easier to stream a defense than it is to find a player.
Tony, I'm in a league where I'm the only Bucs fan, and everyone else in the league will pick up that defense.
Oh, they'll do it out of spite?
Just out of spite. And listen, I didn't want to get into this now, but my idea was, listen, I'm going to go into the week. I'm going to cut my kicker. As much as I love Matt Gay, I'm going to cut my kicker, sign the defense for the week, and go in
no kicker
without a kicker in the actual matchup itself against a team that I should beat regardless. And I think I'm really like 90% leaning towards pulling this off.
Did you check your league rules?
I can do it.
Because if you can do it and you feel really confident about your win this week, and the league will let you get away with it, then why not?
I'm doing it.
Go for it.
Pretty gangster. A lot.
Just to mention also the teams that are on bye this week, we've got Chargers, Bucks, Seahawks, and Browns. And those teams need it. It's going to be good for everybody.
Oh God, Justin Herbert got his hand trampled. The Bucks are the walking wounded as it relates to being on the defense side of the ball, and Mike Evans. They need it. Both those teams need
it. Justin Jackson just left, so they've got to kind of acclimate new guy in the secondary there in LA also. They need some time, and they need to get it together. They lost Mike Williams. It's it's good for them. The Bucks is just going to give them a little bit of rest, and they're going to come back and keep doing what they're doing. I'm sure you guys have talked about that in length.
Yep. Speaking of injuries, some injury news and notes that we kind of got to go over that have changed since the last show that we did. Obviously, they've changed since last Sunday. Right off the top there, Cooper Kupp is apparently practicing now and coming back.
Yeah, baby.
He's got a 21-day window. They got to decide whether they're going to activate him or not. If not, then he's on IR for the rest of the year. I'm going to say as good as Puka's playing, they're probably going to take all 21 days. I think. I don't know, Tony, what your thoughts are.
I'm not sure. I did hear that the report back for you remember they sent him out to, I think it was Minneapolis, to see a specialist on the hamstring.
Yeah.
I did hear today that the specialist came back and said that it wasn't nearly as bad as everyone thought it was going to be. So medically, he's in a better position than they thought. So what that means, I'm not sure. Like you said, they're firing on all cylinders. They're finding a way. They're finding guys that are performing right now. I mean, Puka's doing great. Tutu's still there. Higbee's been doing well. So who knows? I mean, it is kind of a tough matchup this week. I don't think he's coming back now, but it's just good here in practicing. I mean, the one league that I'm doing really poor in is because I've been without my first round pick so far this season. Ouch. Come on, Cooper.
What's crazy too is that Stafford's kind of having like a sneaky good season, and so
adding
another weapon. Yeah, adding another weapon. Well, he's not being talked about with all the guys that are being talked about, and so you got another weapon to that. And it could be really fun to watch the Rams play, and obviously be fun fantasy football wise.
Absolutely.
Latte, I didn't know if you had anything else to add about Cooper.
I don't got. No. He's in the 21-day window. They have 21 days to let him practice, evaluate him, and then either cut him loose and let him play or put him on IR for the rest of the year.
Another guy that kind of fits in that same scenario right now, Jonathan Taylor, is back for the Colts. I'm not sure if he wants to play for the Colts, if they're going to trade him, what all that is. So I'll let you guys kind of discuss that and what that could or could not mean for people maybe who've already had him and been stashing him so far this season.
So the thing with Jonathan Taylor, he practiced in full today, by the way. It's a great sign, so he's 100% healthy. We had a similar situation here in Tampa with Devin White, right? You could talk a big game. You can run your mouth and pound your chest and say, I'm not going to play. But at the end of the day, it's a business, and teams are going to treat it as such. It's just the way it is. And Jonathan Taylor is under contract. And if he decides to sit out, that's fine. You're going to accrue fines, and you're not going to get you're not going to accrue another NFL year playing. So that affects your retirement, that affects your pension, your medical, all that stuff. And guess what? You could sit out for 2-3 years, and the minute you decide to come back, they still have you under contract, just like Devin. So he has zero leverage. So he can pound his chest all he wants about it. He doesn't want to play, and it's not a shot at him, right? I have no problem with Jonathan Taylor personally. It's just that's the reality of it. The team has all the leverage. You want to sit out? That's your leverage. You want to sit out? Cool. You're going to get fined, and then we're still going to have you under contract. I think the rule is you got to come back by week 8 in order to play like Chris Jones, because it was going to happen to Chris Jones.
And we talked about this too. Is that how much we've seen the media take something and take an inch and run a mile with it. Who knows exactly how much bad blood there was here? I've heard mixed emotions. I've heard that, if he does want to play for a different team, he wants more money, this, that, and the other. But as far as all the arguments and we saw a little bit, but I don't really think it was as serious as they made it out to be. And I think he comes out, he plays. I also think that it kind of just muddies the water for a bit. I still think Richardson's going to be the leading rusher for at least the next couple of weeks, and unfortunately, we're not going to see anything out of Taylor significant this week, I believe, and it's a tough matchup for Zach Moss. So I think if you have shares in the Indianapolis backfield, it's not a good week for you.
So I was going to ask you guys, now that he's back, there's some guys in fantasy football leagues that have had him and they've been holding on to him. What is the outlook here? Are you wait and see, or is it 1-2 weeks in, plug him in and just go? What do you expect? If
he's active, you got to play him. It's Jonathan Taylor, bro. I think at least, right, Tony? Like if he's active,
I think at this point you've got to hold on to him, right? If you've had him, you've invested in him, you've waited to see. But I also think that this week, again, is a bad matchup for them. They're playing Tennessee, has a great run defense. I think it's better. You have been dealing without him so far, so you have another option. I think maybe it's just a good week to wait and see what happens.
And this next question kind of leads into what we're going to talk about. Trade season is in play now. You start seeing some people making moves in the league. And so if you have a Jonathan Taylor and you have a couple of squads out there who have suffered through some of these running back injury issues, could Jonathan Taylor be a piece that you could trade away?
I think if you held on to him this long, it's because you want to play him.
But what if you just got him at the very bottom of the draft? You don't really need him, but now all of a sudden he's coming into play, and you have an opportunity to.
If you're flush and let's say you got a Kyron Williams, or you got lucky and got an A-Chan or something like that, and you have an excess at the position, then why not? But if you drafted him, most people that drafted him have constructed a team where they can stay afloat and be fine without him until he came back. But you expected him to come back and get a return on that investment. But if you got an A-Chan off of waivers, or you got a Kyron Williams or something like that, or you hit the lottery on something like that, then hell yeah, if you can turn Jonathan Taylor into, I don't know, man, a top 10, top 7 receiver because somebody's lean at the position, or the Nick Chubb owner or something like that, has a good receiver and desperate for running back, hell yeah, do it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Poppy, and I think that I do think though I'm always going to have the stance that you should always listen to trades, or if like Poppy said, if you're good at running back, throw the feelers out there, see where the temperature is as far as Jonathan Taylor goes. There might be a couple of guys in your league that think, he's going to come out and be Jonathan Taylor of old. They have the faith. They see the team gearing up. They're getting it. The Colts are looking stronger. So always listen to trades. I don't care if someone sends you a trade for Christian McCaffrey. See what they have to say. If they're going to give you 3 stud players for somebody, then I'll trade away C-Mac. Yeah, it's going to hurt, but.
Before we dive into some other trade targets and what you guys are thinking in terms of that, I was going to ask, what if you have a team that you don't have Jonathan Taylor, but you need a running back? Is that a guy that is worthy of kind of knocking on that team's door, like, hey, I got some other studs at other positions, let me take Jonathan Taylor? Or is it like you guys are saying, if you have him, you're basically just holding on and you're just you drafted him for a reason? Or could there be a way to kind of maneuver your way into a running back by having him be one of those targets?
I think it's always tough for me. I kind of want to go with known performance if I'm in dire need, So I'm going to look for somebody that's a sure bet, whereas things are still really questionable there. I don't think I would. I think I would kind of wait and see, maybe see the usage. You can take a look at what his snap percentage is going to be, how much he's schemed into that. A lot of times you can kind of tell, especially with running backs, the first drive, or a lot of the first quarter typically for NFL teams is scripted. And I don't mean like they've written it out and everything that's going to happen. I mean, teams prepare and they have a certain amount of plays that they start the game with that they think is going to work against their opponent. If you see Jonathan Taylor come out and he's being schemed into a bunch of those starting drive plays, then that might be a good precursor.
Good, son. On the flip side of that, right? If you've been holding on to him and it has been an absolute nightmare, and there are indicators that to be concerned, even if he didn't hold out or there was no injury, Anthony Richardson, Tony mentioned it, is a running quarterback. Look at what happened to Miles Sanders last year. Great between the 20s. He had a really good year. If you look at his yardage and his usage and yards per carry, all that. But he was sniped by Jalen Hurts over and over and over again with the tush push. So rushing quarterbacks, it's a dangerous slope. So if you held on to him, but you're kind of concerned, I mean, I would trade him for the right price. Hell yeah. If you can avoid that headache, and like Tony said, well, you got to sit him this week and wait and see the usage and see all that stuff, but you can turn him into something decent, a decent receiver, a good tight end. If you're lacking at tight end, you can get yourself an elite tight end. Hell yeah. Flip him.
I'm gonna have to get with Tony after the show, because I think Jonathan Taylor should be my target considering all those studs I have at other positions, and I feel like I'm dying at running back right now, and I need to solidify this championship team that I'm building. But Moving on from Jonathan Taylor.
We'll get you in. You need like one more good running back. I think you're going to be a little surprised, and you guys might push back at one of my trade targets here in a bit because I know both of you aren't real happy about it right now. But yeah, I've got a few running backs. One to start with, Jerome Ford. I think Jerome Ford is a good target right now. He's clearly going to be the number one back. Kareem is the number two, just like we had projected. And I think with, the bum in there, Watson, they're going to run the ball. They're running the ball a lot already, and it's getting harder and harder to trust Deshaun to throw the ball. So I think, and on top of that, what he is throwing, Ford is getting a small share of those targets. So he's actually pass catching as well now, which again kind of takes away from Kareem. If Ford has the ability, I really don't see Kareem doing much more than spelling him. And their schedule is going to lighten up here after the bye a bit. So I think Ford really starts to perform. I would be targeting him. Another running back I would target, Travis Etienne. The Jags aren't passing the eye test right now. They just don't look that great. But if you look at Etienne's numbers, he's getting over 20 opportunities a game. He's averaging that. That's fantastic for a running back. I'm looking for that in my running backs all the time. That's what I want. They're leaning on him while they're waiting on the offense to click. You can see the usage. He's fourth in the league in yards after contact. He's got 190 yards after contact, and this is a guy that's on a team that really isn't putting up a whole lot. So he's getting out there, he's banging, and he's pushing for the extra yards. He's still hungry, and he doesn't have any tutties yet. That's going to change. So if he's performing the way he has the opportunities, and there is no touchdowns to pad, his numbers in fantasy. I think he's a good target. I think you can get him on the cheap, and if you bundled a couple players together, he might not even seem like the focal point for your trade. So I think he's a good target to kind of sneak in, and grab. Poppy, you got one?
I do. I do. And it says right here, because we have a little show document. It says trade season is here with an exclamation point. Guys, this
get on it.
This is what it's all about. I mean, guys, this is what it's all about. I don't know about you, Tony. I don't know about you, Sammer, but one of my favorite things about fantasy football is the draft and then talking trades, because it's like, man, you're so excited. You're working this trade. You're almost there. You're not quite there. The guy doesn't want to. It's like, fuck. It's such an adrenaline rush, bro. I love talking trades. I love trying to acquire people or people hitting me up. It's awesome. So it's here. Trade season is here. Let's go.
Trades are so fun too, because you're trying to you don't need this guy. Yeah. But this is why I want him.
A lot of posturing and a lot of maybe a little bit of collusion here and there. No big deal. I'm going to trade you these two guys. You trade them back to me next week. I get out of a little bit of obviously. I don't know if you could. I'm just listen. You don't want to ask the Arab for trade talk. Because that's how I go.
People don't know that me and you are best friends with a GM in the NFL. So we have is that considered insider trading information? Like if I traded a player that we thought it wasn't really a major injury, but that ended up turning being a major injury, is that bad, Tony? Is that bad form?
I think that's what they knocked Martha Stewart for. Man. Right. I don't know.
Yeah, you're just going to federal prison, man. You still get a hot tub and good
fantasy federal prison. I'll take it.
Federal prison.
No, I mean I think it kind of falls in that category of why they don't consider fantasy gambling. Because even if a coach tells you, oh yeah, we're gonna scheme this guy in, blah blah blah, he still has to go out there and perform. It is still human beings out there slamming against each other and trying to force their way down the field. So that doesn't always work out, as we know. If you've been a veteran in fantasy at all, you can see it happens week after week.
Poppy, you love trade time, right? And we need your trade targets now.
Trade time.
Going for air. So listen, got a guy that I think I'm a week late on it, but it's fine. It's fine because the owners still haven't gotten quite the return on the investment. Josh Jacobs, RB1 last year. The rushing leader in the NFL. Nothing's changed much. The offense is still going to run through him and Devontae Adams. The usage is there. It just started off kind of rough. He didn't have much of an offseason, right? Then you go in and the first couple matchups are just ugh. And then he finally gets a good matchup last week with the Chargers, and they got to start the rookie quarterback. Josh Jacobs owners are pissed. They're upset. You took him high in the second round, you're expecting a certain amount of production, and you haven't gotten it yet, I would slide in and try and trade for, I would trade ETN, one of Tony's trade for. I'd trade ETN for Jacobs in a heartbeat. Anyways, my next trade for is Chris Godwin. Same thing, new offense. His ADP was three rounds higher than Mike Evans, and there hasn't been much until this week when Mike went out with a hamstring. Then you saw the targets go up, you saw the production go up, and you saw him have a game. And he still hasn't scored a tutty, but the tutties are coming. And then I have a sell. I have a sell high. Derrick Henry. It saddens me because Derrick Henry is one of those unicorns in fantasy, just like CMC. He's special. You know what you're going to get. Get a consistent floor. He's been a freaking amazing running back, but he's at that age cliff, Tony. And I think it's starting to happen. You see the snap share going up for Tajay Spears. You see him getting more attempts, and Derrick getting less. And he had a good game last week, so it might be your indicator to trade him because people see that name and they're like, "Holy shit, Derrick Henry! Yeah, I want Derrick Henry." And they're not thinking about the age. They're not thinking about look at the snap share between him and Tajay and the age cliff, and you might be able to fleece somebody for something real nice.
I think we do typically see him really put on the crown. Once you start to get to the games that matter. November. But that team is not playing well. They're really I'm surprised at how bad they look. So I think even if he does do his normal ramp up throughout the season, they just don't have the power to really showcase him the way he has been in previous seasons. I agree, man. Sell now. Get some value. Fill out what you need.
A question. You're one of your trade for is ETN, and I use them for Josh Jacobs. Would you trade Derrick Henry for ETN if you were the Derrick Henry owner?
I would. Yeah. I think the teams are kind of I don't really see Tennessee getting a whole lot better this year. I do see the Jags getting it together. Jacksonville has too much talent to not start to click and get going. And like I said, ETN, we know ETN's an explosive player. I think he was the fourth most explosive last year, or third most, something like that. So he has the ability. You give him some space, he can take it to the house, and he's just getting so much workload. Henry, we're seeing less and less snaps. We're seeing more and more snaps out of Spears. So, yeah, I think I would do that. I straight up trade. I don't know if I'd be throwing a whole lot of extra pieces in there, but I would do it.
Latte, you touched on Josh Jacobs, and so you're saying that all these guys who have him now, all these teams that have him now, are unhappy with him. Is he a trade target because coming up, it looks like he's gonna start to kind of get it together and get things rolling?
No, yeah.
Is that kind of that's the hope? Okay, because you didn't really mention that outlook, so I had to make sure.
The outlook is that his schedule is going to soften up. I mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. My bad. No. That's definitely a shot at Sammer. It's nothing but respect and love, bro.
I've circled him and Jerome Brown, and I'm getting with my assistant GM Tony after the show. All right,
but no. The outlook is absolutely better. The schedule softens up. They had a great matchup this last week with the rookie head of start. I mentioned that, and it does get better. And again, guys, he didn't have an off season, so he's just ramping up.
And when you're looking at trade targets, you're trying to get cheap. So now would be the time. Devontae's banged up a little bit. They're using more of Jacobs. He's on a prove it year. It's going to happen. He's either going to start performing better, or the team's going to the wheels are going to fall off.
And that's what I was going to say. One of our tips that we did on our Football 101 was, one of the tips I gave was, you shoot for home runs. You don't shoot for singles in fantasy. You don't shoot for singles and doubles. That's not going to win your championship. And if you're in a redraft league, what else matters? There is no next year. You're drafting another team next year. So you're swinging for the fucking fences. You're trying to win right now. So Josh Jacobs, the outlook is he was the number one, the leading rusher last year. You know what his ceiling can be. He started off slow. People are upset, and you can cash in on that emotion, on that I haven't gotten what I deserve yet. I mean, Josh Jacobs, week 1, 8 points. Week 2, 7 points. This isn't half point PPR, by the way. Week 3, 9 points. You're not expecting that from Josh Jacobs where you took him. You know what I mean? You're expecting, a floor of 15 at least, I would imagine. So if you can capitalize on somebody being desperate and upset because people play stuff emotionally, go ahead. But
fantasy
like Tony
boy,
said, it could work out. It could work out, or it could blow up on your face, right? But we're swinging for home runs here because if you get the upside of what he is, whoo.
Or if you're like me and you got a plethora of wide receivers that are never getting off your bench and need a running back, hey, I'll package a couple of these dudes. Let me get this Josh Jacobs guy off of your plate. He's not doing well. He's probably not going to do any better. But you know what? Here's a Gabe Davis. Here's a scary.
You know what I just thought about? You know what I just thought about with Savard, Tony? I envisioned Savard. It's the inversion of it though. You know the meme of Homer Simpson like hiding into the bushes.
Oh yeah,
coming out of the
Savard coming out of the bushes. I got 2 receivers.
Hey, no joke.
Speaking of receivers,
I got 3 of them just sitting on my bench, racking up points week in and week out. Can't crack my starting lineup though. Sorry, can't do it. Go ahead, Tony.
Speaking of receivers, I've got a couple of other, buy cheap while they're still cheap because I feel like it's coming. Jalen Waddle, I know he's a big name, but there's a lot of guys like myself that put a bunch of capital in him in the draft, and he missed a game to head injury. The other games he hasn't really shown out much just because they have so much talent around Tua now. He's always been a boomer bust guy, right? He's going to have those games where it's what did he do, and he won the entire week for you. So I don't think he's a week to week winner, but I do know that there is weeks where he will win your matchup hands down. Jalen Waddle right now, he's like I said, he's been really slow. He's averaging 3 points less than he did last year, and it's really showing. His name hasn't been mentioned a whole lot, even though Miami's been all over the news. So those owners are probably a little butthurt about this, and I think it's time to go after him and try and get him this week. He is going to play. The only thing that worries me a little bit is that last year when we saw the boomer bust, it was either him or Tyreek every week was going to explode. Some weeks, both of them. But they didn't have this power all around the field like they do now. Now we're seeing running backs get involved. The tight end has been steady. So that may pull a little bit away from the ceiling, but there's still going to be huge games out of him. And like I said, we're trying to get guys cheap right now. So you're not looking for your number 1 wide receiver on your roster, but he's a great number 2, and I'll take it. Another receiver, I've talked about him a lot this year. Go out and get Zay Flowers. He hasn't. He's had a couple of games that he hasn't really exploded again. They've been trying to get more receivers on the field. They can't. They want to throw the ball more. Zay Flowers, as a rookie, is seeing almost 30% target share. Almost 30%.
That's Devontae Adams.
I mean, it's
Green Bay, dude.
Yeah, that's huge numbers for anyone, let alone a first-year guy. He's ranked 5th in missed tackles. This kid is shifty. Once he gets a ball in his hand, he can cut on you. He's got this. It's like I think he is what everyone expected Jerry Jeudy to be. Everyone wanted to see that cut fast, can't touch me, and now I'm gone. Puff of smoke, bam, like a cartoon. And the other thing that's going to help you go out there and get Zay Flowers is, again, looking at his fantasy numbers, no tutties. That's going to change. They want to throw more, like I said. They're having a really hard time finding who their lead back is going to be besides Lamar. And, yeah, you're going to get some tutties sharked by Lamar. That's going to happen on a lot of these teams now. There's been an evolution in the NFL. We're seeing that big – formidable archetype in the QB position now, and there's a lot of teams where guys are losing touchdowns, running backs are losing touchdowns to tush pushes, quick little, it's going to happen. But Zay Flowers is going to win some leagues this year. He's going to be on championship teams, I'm telling you.
You're convincing me to keep
my last guy.
Tony. You're convincing me to keep him now. Yeah.
Don't trade him.
I need to trade him. I need Jerome Brown.
You need to trade.
I need Josh
Davis. This is what you need. And the last guy, which I said you guys might not be very happy about, but hear me out. Go get Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, I didn't realize this until I started looking at it. He only played a third of the snaps last Thursday. I knew he was going to be a little limited, but I didn't know they were going to hold him out for 2/3 of the game. And things got out of control quick, which, you kind of think that Jones would be involved in trying to get them back in because he's their pass catcher. But, coming back from injury, maybe they decided not to. I also think that A.J. Dillon is not the answer. Looking at Dillon's numbers, he is the third worst running back in the NFL right now. He's not the guy. Aaron Jones is going to be who they use, and it's going to get better. I think that you could get, out of everybody that I've talked about, you could probably get Aaron Jones the cheapest. And if you can get him again in like a little bundle package, pick up Aaron Jones and a receiver that might have some promise, it's a good trade target in my eyes. I would really go out and try and get him. Lambeau's like, the Packers are a great organization. They figure out how to put the formula together. We never see the Packers in the bottom of the league. So go out, get Aaron Jones.
I'm not trading.
I think
he's
good.
Not happening.
I'm not trading either. Thanks for the advice, Tony. I'm definitely not trading.
Yeah.
I have one last trade away candidate. Joe Burrow. I'll make this quick because I know we have to do matchups, but Joe Burrow.
It hurts, boy.
I would trade Joe Burrow if you can get the right package. Listen, he's hurt. It looks like the calf's going to linger. He hurt it during training camp. He re-aggravated it. I think his ADP was already too high, and it's because of the name. But it's a running quarterback. As it relates to fantasy, they're a cheat code. It's a running back. It's a running quarterback league. In order for a guy like Joe Burrow, or for example Herbert last year, who's not a running quarterback, right? The amount of touchdowns they got to throw in a 4-point passing touchdown league to keep up with guys like Jalen Hurts is ridiculous. I mean, it's got to be in the 40s, right? Joe Burrow's not going to throw 40 touchdowns this year. It's not going to happen. And I don't personally, if I was a Joe Burrow owner, I don't want to deal with the headache every week. Is this the week he's going to be better? Is he not? He's a statue. He can't move. He's a one-read quarterback right now. So if you can capitalize on name recognition and somebody that says, you know what, I'm going to hold him and he's going to get better this year. Let them fuck with that. Because I rode the Justin Herbert thing last year, and guess what? When his ribs got better, he was Justin Herbert again. It was great. But by the time I got him back to be Justin Herbert, it was too late. I wasn't making the playoffs. So trade him away if you can. I'm not dealing with the headache.
With that being said, Latte, does that make a guy like Higgins and a guy like Chase, does that make those guys now not expendable, but do those guys become targets now for teams that aren't getting what they expect out of those guys because now their quarterback's not performing to his standard, his level?
Higgins is gonna be hard to move. He's got broken ribs, and whoever took Chase, you took him top 2. Nobody's moving him. You would have to give the house, bro. Joe Burrow, you can move. You can trade for. Nobody's trading Jamar Chase.
I think I'm just accepting the fact that Jamar Chase is a much lower ceiling this year because, man, it is such a bad situation for them.
It's like me with Garrett Wilson, Tony. Like, I have so many shares of Garrett Wilson. I can't get rid of him because whoever's going to try and trade, you're going to pay me for him, bro. It's Garrett Wilson. I know I have to, bring his value down because no Aaron Rodgers, but what I invested in him and the type of player that he is, yes, Jamar Chase. Like, Jamar Chase can just pop off at any moment like Garrett did a couple weeks ago, catch a slant and go 80 yards. That nobody's trading Jamar Chase for peanuts or cents.
Other than that, I would not be targeting anyone else.
I haven't watched enough of the Bengals games, but it feels like he's not, like, they don't force feed him the ball enough, it feels like. So great example, Wilson with the Jets. He's the guy. Like, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They're going to try to force the ball into his hands. And Chase, it seems like how Burrow goes is how he goes. It's not, he doesn't seem to drive that ship like Justin Jefferson drives the ship. Stephon Diggs, drives the ship.
I think the problem,
all these other guys.
He should be, though.
But he doesn't.
The problem, guys, and like I mentioned, when I mentioned Joe Burrow to begin with, is he has been relegated to, he has been, demoted to. He's a one-read quarterback, and we would be fools if we think the defense isn't automatically taking away Chase. Like, we're not giving you Chase. So defenses know guys like Todd Bowles, guys that are aggressive. They're blitzing him. They know he can't move. He's making one read, bro, and he's either getting popped or he's releasing the ball, but he can't move. It's literally dangerous. They should almost bench him because he can't protect himself, and you have to be able to protect yourself. He cannot protect himself. He can't move.
A lot
So
of money.
it's-
a lot
it's
of money
disappointing
tied into
'cause-
a guy that if you want to sit him for the rest of the year, Latte, it's a lot of money, man.
It is.
It's really disappointing. I mean, I think we all expected Cincinnati to be a point factory for fantasy, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen this year. And if things continue the way they are, and Burrow is in that shitty purgatory where he has something that could linger all year long, we could watch this all year until Taylor just shuts it down. You know, like it sucks. I mean, there should have been so many points flying out of Cincinnati, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen this year.
The AFC to begin with, man. Imagine those matchups with the Jets and Cincinnati in the playoffs and everything we were supposed to get. We got robbed.
But you never know, man.
Got robbed.
I know it doesn't affect you fantasy-wise, but I feel like they're a team, if they can just get to the playoffs, they might be able to do something and kind of turn it up a notch, but it's hard to do that sometimes. There's literally there's not a switch. It's not the NBA.
We've talked about it. We have relationships with players and stuff. The problem is that the season's a mother, bro. And you lose, and like we as fans, we hold on to it. We talk about it, bro. The players, they moved on. They're not even talking about last week because the weeks just stack and they stack and they stack and they stack, and that's the problem. That it's like one of my favorite movies, bro. Keanu Reeves, Quicksand. It just keeps. The more you try and climb out, it's like, oh shit, next week. Oh my god, next week. And Joe Burrow, you're not gonna get better, bro. You're playing every week. You can rest all you want, but you're playing. It's quicksand.
It's literally a roller coaster. As you're going up, and you get kind of that apex there for a little bit. You get to hang for a second. That's the game, and then you slide right back down. And next thing you know, you're back at it's game.
We got a game again. Shit.
Yeah.
Click.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Exactly.
Click. And click is practice days, basically. We're going to end this episode really quick with both of you guys giving what we call the get 'em in and take 'em out, which is very hilarious, obviously. If you guys don't understand the puns, I'm going to start pointing them out until everyone understands them. We're going to go with the
Don't spoon feed them. Don't spoon feed nobody.
I need to because I feel like as the dad joke expert on this show, I have to make sure that it's plain and obvious and clear. And that's part of being a dad joke connoisseur, okay? So we'll start with you, Tony. We'll do your get 'em in.
Every dad joke goes with get it. So, of course, you have to make sure that it's
I got to do the
clear.
get it.
True. Yeah. You gotta tell people you told a joke.
So we'll do the get 'em in first, then we'll do take 'em out. We'll start with you, Tony. Who is your Week 5 get 'em in?
So for this week, I'm going with Nico Collins. Okay. Unfortunately, riding my bench last week because I've got a few guys look like they had great matchups. You know, Brandon Ayuk was back. I put him in, and I left Nico on my bench. But like we said, I mean, they are really. I mean, who expected this? Nico came out of nowhere. He was talked a little bit in preseason, but he is playing out of his mind. They've got a little bit of a tough matchup this week, but I mean, he is 6'4", 215 pounds. He's very formidable. He's going to be a guy that can get out there and force his way into some receptions. CJ Stroud has been amazing. And one thing, listen to this. So we've seen CJ Stroud throw pretty much 300 plus and 2 touchdowns every week, right? Nico Collins accounts for half of Stroud's passing yards.
Jesus.
Half. The dude is he's become a monster this year. And because his name doesn't hold chalk, it's like people aren't really giving him the clout he deserves. Get Nico Collins in. I think he's going to be the best option for Stroud this week. I think, and we're going to see it continue because they're getting more pieces back. Their O-line is coming back. This team is going to get stronger, and it's just, I'm loving what they're doing down there. I really am. So yeah, Nico's get him in. Get him in.
Poppy?
I like to get him out, but getting him in, excuse me. My get him in.
Gotta get in first.
Get him in. I'm on Ross St. Brown against Carolina. I love the matchup. More so, I love the fact that Jamison Williams is back. And even though he's going to be on a snap count, we talked about this on the last episode. Even if he's a decoy, he's just going to open up the middle of the field so much now for Amon-Ra. So that's my guy. That's my start of the week. That's my gotta get him in. Amon-Ra, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. There's not much to say. It's Amon-Ra. He's a PPR machine. And now the whole middle of the field is his. It's his. The world is his oyster. He can do whatever he wants.
How crazy is it that they nailed some draft picks on defense? Their defense looks amazing, world-beating at times. And their offense is firing on all cylinders, and they still have not used Jahmyr Gibbs like they could. And now they're getting Williams back.
That's pretty.
I mean, this is, it's stupid.
It's stupid.
I like it.
The Lions are a legit threat in the NFC for sure.
Yeah, they're going to take a little bit of a step back here in a couple weeks in Tampa, but that's to be expected, of course. And we'll end the show if you guys. I don't know if either of you guys have any take them out, but
I
Tony,
do.
You have any players that you're absolutely taking out this week?
Carolina's got a rough matchup this week, and I've talked before that I'm not a huge fan of Miles Sanders. He's not my favorite guy to watch to begin with. He's dealing with a groin injury that's been lingering, and last week we saw his snap percentage go down to 43%. And what did he do last week? He did carry the ball 13 times for 19 yards.
Ooh, Chuba Hubbard had 16 carries.
Don't start Miles.
Yeah. Chuba Hubbard had 16 carries. He had 3 more carries than him last week. Honorable mention, I have him in a league. I had a long conversation with Tony today. Just because of how I got stung with Aaron Jones, it just left a nasty taste in my mouth. Just an honorable mention, because we need to see how practice report goes. Practice reports go. Wow, can't speak English. Saquon Barkley. I don't want to deal with. I don't want to deal with the headache of, are they going to have him on a pitch count? I started Aaron Jones, man. I waited 3 weeks, finally get to put him in there. 2 points. Like Tony said, he only played a quarter of the game. So I'm not trying to deal with that headache with Saquon. It's an ankle. You got to be able to be shifty, change direction. You're a running back. You're going to get tackled. You're going to get rolled up on again. They might have him on a pitch count. I don't want to find out. He's my first round pick. I almost have to fire him up, but
And the Giants O-line is just letting everybody through. Yeah. It's like they just open the velvet rope. Come on in, guys.
It's like that.
Have a piece of our quarterback.
It's like that meme where somebody's got the Cheeto, and that's like their deadbolt on their door.
Right? Yeah.
That's the offensive line for the New York Giants.
That's
right
hilarious.
Hey guys,
I'm not
listen.
guys, and I'm not saying, Sam, really quick. I'm not saying don't start them the following. I'm just saying, kind of like Josh Jacobs, just wait a week. See what the how many carries, how they use them, etc. Go ahead, Sam. Sorry.
I was gonna say, hey, listen. Hopefully, we've gotten you guys into a better headspace now after the waiver wire rush. If you missed out on some players, and of course, gotten you to think about some better trade options, or maybe some guys that you should move around on your roster. Quick reminder, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying what we're giving you guys. We're still kind of feeling things out here. We're getting our groove on this, and we appreciate you joining us for that journey. We will be back with another episode where we're going to preview every single game coming up in Week 5. In the meantime, we'll see you guys soon. Bouncing out.
Bouncing.